Hi, and thanks for joining me today. Um, I'm a big fan of Adobe products. I really love working in Adobe Illustrator, big fan of Acrobat, huge fan of Photoshop. But I got to tell you, one of my favorite Adobe products is one that hardly anybody even thinks about, let alone really knows about, and I want to show you that today. What we have here in front of us is actually Adobe Bridge. Okay, there's Adobe Bridge right here. And Adobe Bridge is kind of interesting. It's a file management system specifically for graphics files. And I'm going to give you just a basic rundown and then one kind of cool trick, or maybe a couple of cool tricks. We'll see what happens. But so let's get going here and see what's going on. So first, before anything else, across the top here, I have these different workspaces, and that's just different views of what's going on within Bridge. Right now, I'm using Essentials. I can go over to Libraries, which focuses a lot on if you use Adobe Libraries. Um, I do, but a lot of people don't. There is a film strip version, which gives you kind of these previews down here, and then if I click on one of them, I get a very large view up here. Output we're going to talk about in a moment, and workflow I'm not going to talk about today. Workflow is actually made for creating a sequence of tasks. Like if I want to take a bunch of files, crop them or resize them to a very specific size, give them a different name, save them in a certain way, I can do that. I can look at my metadata over here. And I have a bunch of metadata. And there's actually a couple of others. There's keywords, there's preview, which is a really big preview. Light table, which is just a whole bunch of little thumbnails. I'm going to work in Essentials, though, just because it gives me a lot of what I do need to see without really being full of a ton of clutter or anything. Okay, so as I look on the left-hand side here, first of all, I have favorites and folders together. And favorites, the typical view is a folder view, but I can right-click on any particular folder that I'm in, and I can just navigate my hard drive or my network. But I can right-click any folder that I'm in and add it to my favorite list over here so that I can bounce around very easily between a bunch of different favorite folders. Okay, so right now I'm going to stay on favorites. And then down below, I have filters, first of all. So I can, if you look over here, I have some like items. Okay, so I have like a TIFF and a JPEG. Some of these I have a PSD and a TIFF. So I could, as an example, just show me all of my Photoshop documents and nothing else. Just show me my TIFF images, right? So I can sort just by file type. I don't have any keywording or anything like that, but even orientation. Show me my square items, right? Show me my portrait files. Show me my landscape files, right? So overall orientation, I can go that way, and even aspect ratio, I can choose different aspect ratios there. Okay, so kind of nice that I have that ability to do that. It's really kind of slick there. Over in collections, I don't have smart collections in here, but I can add, rather than move things around in a separate folder, what I can essentially do is kind of tag them within Bridge and add them to a collection. So it's a little kind of mini library that says, all of my animals. So this one and this one and that one would be, and this guy over here, part of my animal collection as an example. Export, kind of neat. I can choose this, and I can export to DNG, which is a digital negative. That's going to be for Lightroom or higher end things in Photoshop, things like that. But I can do a custom export and actually choose exactly how the file gets exported. And again, workflow. Again, we're not going to do that, but as you see here, rename, change format, resize, all of those things I can do by creating these custom workflows. But here's the meat of it right here. This is my content. And I can choose, it's kind of nice, I can choose a horizontal layout, I can choose a vertical layout, and really it's just changing kind of the orientation of these items here. But what I have to work with is, this is going to drive me crazy. All right, I got to move that back. What I have is all of my files. And as you can see, if I click on this, right, I have my file name here. I have my dimensions and resolution in pixels and in inches, and then my color mode here. I can, if I come over to this side, I can get much of that same information plus a lot more. So I can really drill down and look at if this were, if this were like one of my photos that I took out of my digital camera, a lot of this stuff would be added here, author and location and all of that. I mean, even GPS stuff, and over here, this is all your lens and exposure information for anything that you might have actually taken a picture of. But what I like about it is I get to see all of my files, and I'm going to show you this. It's not too impressive, but right now what I have is just a bunch of, I'm in a folder that's full of folders, right? The content is not all that impressive, but what I have is a bunch of folders. Rather than drill down through here and start going that direction, what I can do instead, this is kind of neat, is I can go over here and view, and I can show items from subfolders. And it's going to take a moment for this to completely populate because there's a lot of files here. It's just, this is some user interface stuff for a different program. But once I start scrolling down, you can see I have all of these different user interface elements, all these graphs and everything else, and all of these are in separate folders, and it's showing me all my folders at the same time. It's really, really nice. I definitely like that aspect of it. Now, let me show you, I'm going to come over to my white samples folder. This is literally just a sample of files for printing with white. Let's choose like this one right over here. So if I look on the right-hand side of the screen, I have black, I have orange. This is a university logo, so probably there's going to be a Pantone color assigned to it. I have a Heineken label, and then I also have this pink, which if you've watched any of my white ink videos, probably means that I'm ready to print this in white. But look at what happens down here in the metadata. Okay, here's all my information about what it is. The one thing I will point out, it is a shortcoming, and I wish Adobe would fix this. If it's a PDF document, it does not show you the dimensions in inches. It shows you just dimensions in pixels, assuming that it's a 72 pixel per inch file. So there's math involved, or you just have to open the document yourself in Acrobat Reader. It's kind of annoying that it does that. It's a kind of a big shortcoming for somebody who works in an almost exclusively PDF workflow, but it is what it is. I'm certainly not going to change their mind, and they've been hearing this complaint for a long time. But if I scroll down, it's showing me what fonts are in this file, right? So HP Simplified, which is HP's corporate identity font, I can click. This is nice too. There's a loop tool, and if I click on it, then I can click and drag, and I can see so that, and right now it's just showing you a 72 pixel per inch preview, but it's showing you what it looks like. That font right there is the HP Simplified. Click again to get rid of it. But then look down here under plates. Look, I've got Pantone 430 CV, Pantone 356 CV, so those are colors that are in the Heineken logo. Pantone 185, again, Heineken. Spot 1, which is my white, all of my white aspect there, and then I actually have two separate oranges. One for the Idaho State University logo type, and the other for the tiger itself. So it actually shows me all of that, and if I really want to look in here, I can go to Document Swatches, and that's where it shows you all of the swatches, whether they're used or not in your Illustrator document. I generally don't look at that. All right, but I get to see all of that information, and it's kind of nice that I have that ability to do that. All right. If I right-click this file, okay, and there's a couple of different ways to do this, but right-click is usually the easiest. I can open it, which is going to open it with whatever Windows or Mac, whatever your default program is for working with a PDF document in this case, or I can choose Open With and choose actually what program I'm going to open it in. So I can right-click, Open with Adobe Illustrator 2022. okay? I can move this around, I can place it in things, I can show it in the Explorer, so I can actually open up my file Explorer that way. Um, but I can also export, I can do a custom export, and that's where I can actually choose, right, what format do I want, so JPEG, PNG, TIFF, or DNG, which is that digital negative. You know, what scale, all of that. It's kind of nice that I have that ability to do all of this right here. I can get file info from it, right? I can place this right into Adobe After Effects if I want to. So I have a lot of different options. If I come over here, I have even more options. So if I go under Tools, now I have Illustrator, so I could actually choose Image Trace. Doesn't make a lot of sense on this one, but let's say I'm working with, let's find something that's got, let's go back over to here and find something a little interesting. So this is actually, you can see this is a TIFF, right? So this is a raster image, but very clearly I have vector. So if I went over to Tools, Illustrator, and Image Trace there, I could maybe take that black out and turn it into a vector graphic if I wanted to. Under Photoshop, I can do a bunch of things in Photoshop here. There's things that I can do in Premiere Pro, and it's kind of accompanying program media encoder. And I can also set up some of the metadata, so I can populate some of this information with my name or location or whatever. All right, so just overall, it's a really nice program for navigating your system really quickly, especially when you have files that are just all over the place. I find it very easy to work with. I really like this setup a lot. Now let me show you two things that I think are just absolutely fantastic. One of them is kind of clever, and one of them is incredibly useful. Let me show you clever first. So I've been doing a lot of work specifically for video. So I have all of my programs right now. So Photoshop, Illustrator, Acrobat, all of those programs I have set up for the RGB space. I have it set up for sRGB. If I wanted to go back and change my color settings, I would have to change my settings in Illustrator, make sure that they match what's in Photoshop, make sure that they match what's in Acrobat. But look at this. If I go here to edit color settings, there we go. This is how I'm set up across the board. And what I want to do is change it over to North America Prepress 2. The difference there is this is sRGB, and if there's a profile mismatch or a missing profile, it just ignores that and just kind of discards any changes. I don't want that. I like to be warned, and I like to work in Adobe RGB, so I can just choose North America Prepress 2. By hitting apply, what I've just done is changed all of my Adobe software on this computer so that they all are using exactly the same color settings. I find that so very helpful. I really, really like that. All right, so that's the cool tool, kind of interesting, but this one is great. All right, so I have a lot of images here, and I want to be able to send these images to a colleague as an example so that they can choose graphics that are going to go on their wall. So if I come over here to Output, now I can choose a template. What I'm going to be creating here is actually kind of a contact sheet, right? A master menu. So how do I want this set up? Maybe I want this as 5 across by 8 down. Maybe I don't want it as 5 by 8. I can make that whatever I want. So I'm going to go custom. And first thing I'm going to do is change this to US letter. Okay. And then if I come over here, how many columns, how many rows? So I want this to be a 4 by 6 layout, maybe a 4 by 5 layout. Sure. Okay. What kind of spacing do I want between them? Right. What cell size obviously is going to be dependent on all of the other stuff that I put on here. What my margins are going to be. Do I want a header and a footer? And this is Lee's sample contact sheet. What font do I want that in? Let's go Bodoni, 18. And you can see it's dynamic. It actually, because I changed the size of the font, it actually changed the height of my slots that I can put this in. I'm going to change this back to 14, and you'll see. No, maybe 10. No, maybe I just thought that it changed the size. Let's go back to grid and margins. Yeah. Okay. That was just my imagination. I can throw a watermark across there if I want to. I can put a header and a footer on there, right? So I can put a footer down below if I want as well. What I want for my PDF with security and things like that. But now what I can do is I'm just holding down now the control key and I'm selecting various images and just kind of scrolling through here and selecting some images. And I don't like that one. And once I'm done with this, what I can do is just drag and drop these, and it automatically puts in there my information. Okay. Really, really nice. I can choose the name of the font, or the name of the font, the size of the font, the style of the font, right? What font name it is. But so I can make it smaller so that I can actually see the entire, especially with Shutterstock, because half of your file name is taken up with Shutterstock, the actual Shutterstock name there. Let me add a few more. So we'll add that, we'll add that, we'll add that, we'll add that. I just want to fill up a page and then show you what happens when I add one more. Oh, guess I like the parrot so much it went in there twice. All right, I have a full page now. If I drag one more, it gets a second page, and you can see that down here. Now it says page 2 of 2. All right, so what I'll do is remove this parrot, and now I'm down to one page. I can also, just in case something is rotated, I can manually rotate an image if I want to, or if my layout is much more vertically aligned or horizontally aligned, I can do that. But at this point, what I can do is over here, export to PDF, and if I just go, let's just send that to the desktop, and we can open that PDF, and there it is. So I have my files. It's low res. Okay, it's not a big. I just put in, 4 by 5, so 20 different images, but the whole file is only 3.7 megs. So nice and small. It's screen resolution, right? So it's already starting to fuzz up, but it does that for me automatically. I just choose and start dragging and dropping in there, and it automatically creates this contact sheet for me. So I find that incredibly useful as I'm trying to talk to somebody about certain images for use in whatever. Even just, if a customer sends me a bunch of files, here's what you sent me. Are you sure you sent me everything, or which of these am I supposed to use? It's just easier to send them a sheet like that than to start doing screen captures and everything else. I think it just looks cleaner. It looks a lot more professional. Probably not with Bodoni up top, but Oh, and over here, I should say that this does set up what resolution you're at. So I could have set that to full resolution, which would make an ungodly large file. I can set that to 72 pixels per inch, and I can even choose the image quality, right? Same kind of slider as you get with a JPEG, because that's really what it's going to be. And I don't think it's going to matter too much here, but I can automatically rotate the thumb. Oh yeah, I guess it does a little bit. Rotate the thumbnail for best fit, just to maximize the size that the preview actually shows up. I generally don't do that. I never really think about it, but it is there if you want it. So there, in a kind of a longer version of the video than I had actually intended, but there's a lot to cover here. That's Adobe Bridge. That's the kind of a sampling of what Bridge can do, but honestly, I love the software because of how easy it makes it to find photos and other artwork that I've done. I don't have to open Illustrator, open a document, find out what spot color is in there. I just fire up Bridge and it does it for me automatically. And then the ability to sync those color modes between all of my all of my different Adobe products is just it's just such a time saver, especially as I'm bouncing around between color settings for certain applications. So there you have it. I appreciate your time. If you stuck with me to the end, thank you so much. Hey, if you didn't stick with me to the end, thanks for watching what you did. So until next time, I'll see you later.